The sun shone brightly over the intergalactic expo, where humans and aliens from many distant worlds mingled. Towering displays of sparkling technology and hovering vehicles filled the air, and laughter mixed with strange, musical alien voices. People from Earth had never seen so many different species in one place, and everyone was amazed by the tiny alien creatures, some smaller than a teacup, who darted about with curious eyes. Among them was Alara, a tiny alien with shimmering wings that glowed faintly in the light. She had a bright yellow body and delicate spindly arms and legs, and she loved exploring. Alara was fascinated by the water exhibit at the expo. Humans had built a pool that changed colors with touch and shimmered as if the water itself was alive. The pool was shallow for normal humans, but for someone as small as Alara, it looked like a vast ocean. She hovered near the edge, her tiny wings buzzing softly as she leaned over to see her reflection. The water rippled and her reflection seemed to dance back at her. She reached out one small hand, curious about how the water felt. In her excitement, Alara leaned a little too far. Her foot slipped on the smooth edge, and before she could catch herself, she toppled into the pool. The water swallowed her tiny body, and she flailed her arms, struggling to keep her head above the surface. Nearby aliens and humans noticed immediately. Some gasped, others froze, unsure what to do. A few tiny aliens buzzed over, but their small size meant they could not reach her safely. Panic filled the air as Alara's struggles grew more desperate. Kai, a young human engineer, was walking past the pool. He had messy brown hair and curious green eyes, always searching for something new to understand. He loved learning about aliens, especially tiny ones like Alara. His backpack was filled with gadgets he had made to study alien biology safely. When he saw Alara flailing in the water, something inside him snapped. He didn't hesitate. He took a running leap and dove straight into the pool. The water splashed around him as he plunged in. For a moment, everything seemed to slow. Kai's heart pounded, but his mind stayed sharp. He focused on reaching Alara, who was panicking and spinning in tiny circles. He moved carefully, trying not to hurt her with his larger hands. Gently, he cupped his hands under her body and lifted her out of the water. Alara gasped, a soft musical sound escaping her tiny mouth. She clung to Kai's fingers, trembling but safe. Her wings flickered with relief, glowing brighter than before. Kai smiled and spoke softly. "It's okay, you're safe now. Don't worry." He had no idea if she understood his words, but the tone of his voice was gentle. The nearby crowd watched in awe. Humans and aliens alike were impressed by his courage. The tiny aliens hovered close to their friend, making chirping noises and flickering lights in a pattern that seemed like rapid laughter and tears combined. Kai tilted his head, trying to mimic the sounds. Hello? Are you okay?" he asked, scratching the back of his head. Alara blinked at him, her little eyes sparkling, and emitted a happy trill. Kai laughed softly, setting her down on a dry ledge near the pool. She wriggled and buzzed happily, dancing in place. He watched, fascinated. "I think she likes me," he whispered to himself, grinning. Then he noticed something strange. Alara's tiny hands reached out and left a glowing token in his palm. It was warm and pulsing softly, almost like it had a heartbeat of its own. Kai stared at it in surprise. The crowd murmured among themselves. The token seemed to glow more brightly, as if it were alive. No one could tell exactly what it meant, but everyone knew it was something important. Alara chirped again, fluttering her wings in a way that seemed like an urgent but friendly gesture. Kai held the token carefully, unsure what it was or how to use it. Over the next few minutes, Kai and Alara developed a strange, playful connection. He tried to mimic her chirps, and she responded with twinkles of light from her wings. The small alien touched the token again, and it pulsed in response, like it was recognizing Kai. He realized this token might be a way to communicate, or maybe it was a gift or a key to something bigger. The expo organizers approached cautiously. "Sir, is the alien okay?" one of them asked. Kai nodded. "Yes, she's fine, but I think she wants to show me something." The organizers looked skeptical but allowed Kai to continue interacting with Alara. Alara suddenly zipped off his hand and hovered above the pool. She flared her wings and twirled gracefully, creating a soft glow over the water. It was beautiful, like a tiny fireworks display. Kai couldn't help but smile. She landed back on his shoulder, chirping happily. Kai felt a warmth in his chest, a mixture of joy and awe. He realized that this tiny alien, Though small and fragile, had a personality and intelligence that rivaled anyone he had ever met. And more than that, she had trusted him with her safety. As the sun began to set, casting golden light over the expo, Kai knew he had made a friend unlike any other. Alara perched comfortably on his shoulder, the glowing token resting against his chest. People continued to watch, some snapping pictures, but Kai didn't care. He was focused entirely on the tiny alien who had accidentally plunged into the pool and who had somehow changed his world forever. Later, as the crowd dispersed, Kai walked away from the pool with Alara fluttering on his shoulder. He talked to her softly, trying different sounds and words, and she chirped in response. He laughed at her attempts to mimic him with tiny squeaks. For a human and a tiny alien to communicate so freely was unusual, but Kai felt it was natural. He didn't know what the glowing token meant, or what Alara's species might think of humans after this encounter. But he did know one thing. Humans could act with courage and kindness when it mattered most. That moment in the pool, the instant decision to dive in, had not only saved Alara, it had created a bond, one that might lead to adventures beyond anything Kai had ever imagined. As night fell, Kai looked at the token again. Its glow seemed stronger now, pulsing like it had a message waiting to be discovered. He felt a thrill of anticipation. Something bigger than the expo, bigger than Earth itself, was calling, and he had a tiny, brave friend to face it with him. For the first time in his life, Kai felt that humans were not just visitors in the universe. They could be heroes. And for Alara, the tiny alien who had nearly drowned, she had discovered that sometimes the smallest creatures could rely on the largest hearts. The glowing token pulsed gently in Kai's hand, hinting at mysteries that awaited them both. And as he looked at the stars above the expo, he knew this was only the beginning. Kai sat on the edge of his small balcony that overlooked the city. The night was calm, and the stars stretched across the sky like scattered diamonds. Alara rested on his shoulder, her tiny wings glowing softly in the dark. The glowing token in Kai's hand pulsed with a steady rhythm, almost as if it were alive. He had been thinking about it all day. What did it mean? Why had she given it to him? He didn't know, but a sense of adventure hummed in the air. Suddenly, the token's glow grew stronger. Tiny sparks of light leapt from it and formed shapes in the air, like a miniature hologram. Kai leaned closer, eyes wide. A map appeared, showing a star system he did not recognize. A small red dot blinked in the center. Next to it, symbols flickered rapidly. Kai's heart raced. "Alara, is this a message?" he whispered. The tiny alien chirped excitedly and fluttered her wings. She seemed eager, almost urging him to follow. The next morning, Kai went to the research center where he worked. He showed the token to his boss and a team of scientists. Most of them were skeptical, shaking their heads. "It's probably just a light-emitting crystal," one said. But Kai insisted, "No, this is intelligent. It's giving us directions. I think Alara wants us to go somewhere," the scientists murmured, intrigued despite themselves. After much discussion, a decision was made. Kai would take a small team to follow the token's map. The journey would be short in human terms, a quick shuttle trip beyond the solar system, but far enough to encounter something new. Kai prepared his gear carefully, making sure he had enough supplies and tools to communicate with alien life. Alara hovered nearby, clearly excited, her wings shimmering brighter than ever. The shuttle lifted off smoothly, gliding into space. Kai gazed out at the stars, feeling a mix of nervousness and excitement. Alara zipped around inside the shuttle, curious about everything. She landed on his shoulder and chirped softly as if sensing his thoughts. "Don't worry," he said, smiling. "We'll figure this out together." After several hours, they reached the star system marked on the token. A planet of green and blue hues rotated slowly in the distance, glowing under the light of its sun. The token pulsed rapidly now, almost like it was leading them. Kai guided the shuttle carefully toward the planet. As they entered the atmosphere, strange structures became visible. Tall, crystalline towers that sparkled like jewels. The landscape was alive with color and movement, and tiny creatures similar to Alara darted among the towers. The shuttle landed gently in a clearing, and Kai stepped out, carrying the token. Alara flew ahead, chirping and spinning with joy. The tiny aliens of this world gathered around, curious but cautious. They were small like Alara, with delicate wings and shimmering bodies. When they saw Kai holding the token, they paused. Then, in unison, They emitted musical chirps and flashes of light that filled the air like a symphony. Elara zipped forward, chirping excitedly. The others gathered around her, forming a circle. The token floated slightly in Kai's hand, responding to their signals. Suddenly, a larger alien approached. It was taller than the others, with a crown-like structure on its head and wings that sparkled with thousands of colors. The alien spoke in a language of musical tones, which the token translated into simple words for Kai. "You saved her. You are welcome here. Danger approaches." Kai's heart skipped a beat. "Danger?" he asked aloud, unsure how serious it was. The alien nodded, its wings flickering like warning lights. The token glowed brighter, revealing symbols that Kai slowly understood. A fleet of hostile ships was approaching the planet, planning to capture the tiny aliens and exploit their technology. Humans had always worried about threats in space, but now Kai realized he was looking at a real danger, one that required both courage and strategy. The tiny aliens moved quickly, using their small size and agility to gather supplies. Kai watched, fascinated. They had clever devices, traps, and shields that humans could barely understand. He realized that intelligence did not always come in large forms. Elara's people were small but brilliant, and together, they could plan something no enemy would expect. Kai gathered his human team and explained the plan. "We have to work with them," he said. "We can't just fight. They have tricks we don't know. If we combine our knowledge, we can protect them." The scientists nodded, eager to try this unique collaboration. As night fell, the first signs of the hostile fleet appeared in the sky. Dark shapes against the stars, moving silently but menacingly. The tiny aliens chirped urgently, signaling to Kai and his team. Using a combination of human technology and alien devices, they set up clever defenses. Holographic decoys, energy nets, and temporary shields created confusion for the invaders. Kai marveled at how smart and coordinated the tiny aliens were, working as one mind despite their size. The enemy ships fired, but their attacks were mostly wasted. The decoys distracted them, and the shields absorbed the rest. Kai and his team directed the defense, learning to anticipate the alien strategies. Elara zipped around, her wings glowing bright, acting like a guide and morale booster for everyone. Hours passed, but the humans and tiny aliens did not tire. Together, they turned the tide. The enemy ships, confused and frustrated, began to retreat. Kai cheered as the last of them disappeared beyond the horizon. The tiny aliens erupted in celebration, chirping and flashing colors in the night. Kai looked around at the scene, feeling a deep sense of pride. "We did it," he whispered to Elara, who perched on his shoulder and chirped in agreement. The token glowed softly, as if thanking him for his courage. The next day, the larger alien, the leader, approached Kai. "You are more than a friend," it said through the token's translation. "You are a hero. Humans are not only strong but kind and brave. We will remember this forever." Kai felt a warmth in his chest, realizing the importance of his actions. Saving one tiny alien had led to saving an entire planet. Elara flew in circles around Kai, chirping excitedly. She landed gently on his hand, her small body glowing with happiness. Kai laughed softly, holding her carefully. "We make a good team, don't we?" he said. She chirped in response, and he could swear it sounded like a tiny yes. Before leaving the planet, Kai and his team were invited to a ceremony. The tiny aliens had created a sparkling display of lights and music to honor them. Humans and aliens together celebrated not just victory but trust, courage, and friendship. Kai realized that sometimes the smallest beings could teach humans the most important lessons: bravery, cleverness, and heart. As the shuttle lifted off, Kai looked down at the planet. He could see tiny lights twinkling like stars on the ground, and he felt a deep connection to this new world. Elara hovered beside him, her wings still glowing. The token, now warm and steady in his hand, pulsed like a heartbeat, a reminder of the adventure they had shared and the many more that might come. Kai thought about Earth, about humans, and about the possibility of new friendships across the stars. He smiled, knowing that heroism was not about size, strength, or technology alone. It was about courage, kindness, and the willingness to act when it mattered. Elara chirped softly and leaned against his shoulder, tired but happy. Kai stroked her tiny head gently. "We'll go home now," he whispered. "But I think this is only the beginning." As the stars stretched endlessly ahead, Kai felt hope and excitement for the future. Humans could be heroes not just on Earth but among the stars. And with tiny brave friends like Alara, he knew they could face anything together. The shuttle disappeared into the night carrying a human, a tiny alien, and a glowing token that promised more adventures, more discoveries, and more moments where courage and friendship would shine brighter than any star in the sky.